turn video off, turn video on.
Oh, I thought my video was.
That's right. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. I was operating under the understanding that my video is already on.
Good morning, ma'am. Welcome.
Good morning, sir. कैसे हैं?
बस बढ़िया.
मैं थोड़ा सा ये सोच रही थी कल, मैंने कहा कि हम लोग ना ये टीचर्स वगैरह के लिए ये जेंडर का बात करते हैं. मेरे को थोड़ी दिक्कत हो रही थी कि स्टूडेंट्स को क्या क्या ना बताया जाए या क्या क्या बताया जाए.
You tell them जो उनके हिसाब से है. ठीक है मैम.
Start, ma'am.
लेमन टी एक कप, बट वो 2 छोटे कप. हाँ जी सर, we'll start whenever you say.
Sir, shall we start? Yes, sir. A very good morning to everyone present here. I, Rajesh Makol, on behalf of Geetarathan International Business School, welcome you all in the eminent lecture series on gender sensitization and women issues. Geetarathan International Business School was established in the year 2004. The institute is affiliated to Govind Singh Indraprasth University, Delhi, and is approved by All India Council for Teacher Education, Ministry of HRD, and Government of India for technical programs and Bar Council of India for law programs. GIPS is currently offering postgraduate programs like MBA, MBA International Business, and MCA integrated and undergraduate courses like BBA LLB, BLLB, and BBA. It has been graded A by National Assessment and Accreditation Council in second cycle. It is an ISO 9001-2008 certified institute. GIPS has been rated A+ by State Fee Regulatory Committee, a fee committee of Government of City of Delhi, and stated highest rating A by Joint Inspection Committee of Government of City of Delhi and GGSIPU. It has been rated grade A by Academic Audit Cell of GGSIPU consecutively for past 5 years. GIPS has been graded number 2 by Times B School Survey 2019. The main theme of our eminent lecture series for today is gender sensitization and women issue. The purpose of this eminent lecture is to help students in realizing various sources of gender biasness prevalent in the society. Awareness about gender bias has slowly been decreasing with time, but it is a tedious and time-taking task to bring out the required revolutionary change of breaking away from the gender stereotypes. Although the world has moved forward, with women working in all fields with men, we have women astronauts, women prime ministers, and even women wrestlers today. But still, we have millions of women who face these double standards at every step of their lives. Women should be provided with equal opportunity. The task is not to be done by the government or any authority or organization, but we all have to come forward and initiate this change for our own well. We hope that session will be full of learning and gives us insight on gender sensitization and women issues. Today, we are fortunate enough to have with us Professor Dr. Pamela Singla, HOD, Department of Social Work, University of Delhi. She has done exhaustive work on a women's participation in Panchayati Raj institutions, safety of women, crimes against women, gender relations and policy making, social policy, corporate social responsibility, etc. Her prime teaching interests include women's welfare and development, social policy, social work education, social defense and correctional services, social exclusion, social work in the unorganized sector, research, and social sector. She has been a member of the expert panel constituted by Lieutenant Governor to check crime against women in Delhi. Besides, she has also been member of the Program Advisory Committee, PAC, under Mobility of Kiran Program, DST, Government of India. Ma'am, we are privileged to have you here. May I request Professor Pamela Singla to proceed with the presentation for the day. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, and a very good morning to everyone. And before I begin, I'd just like to reconfirm. So there's no possibility of seeing the students, the participants. It's just one-way traffic. So I only have to be speaking.
Yes, ma'am. Whatever they want to discuss, they've got any questions, they'll be writing it in the chat box, and I'll be reiterating that to you.
Okay. So it is that way. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe I'll try this out. All right. So good morning to all dear students, and I understand that this is a session for the first year students. right? And I think there are a large number of students for this program. And this is not the first time that I'm with Geeta Ratan Business School. मैं कुछ time पहले भी आई थी, and that was an offline direct face-to-face interaction. And I really like my interaction with the business students, with the MBA students. So as has been said, the topic is gender sensitization and women's issues, and also rightly said by our dear sir that certain terms that he has introduced is gender stereotyping, gender bias, gender discrimination, and also when these terms are there, a very important term also has been said by him, and also I think in the concept note it also emerges that why do we really have to know gender stereotypes and bias? Because of the awareness. That is the whole purpose of this lecture, the awareness creation. And I'm sure the students these days, otherwise also, we are all very aware of what gender is all about. So this interaction of mine is basically going to be, whatever I know, whatever I think I can share with you, because it's a vast field. So I'll just say a few things in this 1 hour that has been given to me. And really wish it was more of offline interaction, because it is just seeing myself on the screen. Now I wish there was a bit of metrics there, so like I could see at least some of you. All right. So gender sensitization and women's issues. All right. So first year students who are fresh out of school, you see, gender as such is a very vast subject. You're all aware of men, women, and the third gender, boys, girls, you're aware of. So you're aware of what this cosmos is made of when it comes to we as human beings. So this term gender, is a very vast subject, and in the universities and in Delhi itself, we have centers for women's studies, we have centers for gender studies, we have departments teaching gender, and at a very advanced level. So I was just sharing it with the director that for the management students who are just fresh out of school, I was struggling that what exactly, how much to share, because there's so much to share. So I should talk something very basic, because the whole idea is to reiterate the concepts that have just been mentioned to you and to generate an awareness on this concept, because I'm aware that this is for the session is for the future managers. So I also understand that being the future CEOs and future managers, it's important that the workplace has a conducive environment. It's very important that there is, everybody feels comfortable, not only just the men, but also your female colleagues feel comfortable. So for that, and not only just your workplace, it's also very important that our home front and the public spaces are also very conducive to both men and women. And for that, it's very important for us to know this whole term of gender, right? So I'll just speak, and let's see, whatever you feel interests you, you can make a note of. So, as a part of my research, I found out that my MPhil research was on job satisfaction among women executives in public and private sector of Delhi. So when I was conducting this research, I found out that these women at the middle level, and some of them who are at the higher level, because you're all aware that there's something like the glass ceiling. So this study was conducted by me in 1988. So I found out that there were not many women at the higher level, but there were quite a few at the middle level. So when I spoke to them as a part of the questionnaire, so that's the term I'm introducing for you, questionnaire. So as a part of the questionnaire, and also informal, formal interactions, I came to know that women who are at this position, they have had role models in the form of, a hardworking father, a hardworking mother, and close relatives. But I saw that most of these role models happen to be men. And they did share in my interactions with them. So the data collection was done as part of questionnaire and also interactions with them. So my interactions with them showed that, they had a hardworking father. Most of them had a male figure in front of them who would not only just confine themselves to their workplace, to the public space, but they would also be a big helping hand to their mothers. So this probably, when I say this might be a surprise to some of us, because the private space, that is the kitchen, etc., is supposed to be for the mothers, and we understand it that way, you know. And when we say that the fathers are helping out the mothers, some of us might raise our eyebrows, saying, but that is not the work of a man. So that is the whole idea of this session, to really understand what exactly is the work of a man and what exactly is the work of a woman. So had it been, I'd really like to know from you, I know in this space it's not possible, but I'd really like to know from you, what do you think is actually a work that a man is supposed to be doing, a man in the sense a husband is supposed to be doing, and what is the work that a wife, a woman is supposed to be doing as a part of the household. So it came up during this that they had a strong role model in the form of a father who was quite diversified in his activities. And it also came up as a part of my work that, you know, in the private sector, the women were not really being preferred, because it was also in the public sector, but more in the private sector, that women were supposed to be emotional. Women were, it was understood that, you know, after taking a job, they would go on leave, they would take many leaves, they would not like transfers, they would not like outstation travel, etc., etc. So as a result, it was seen, men were seen to be more easily manageable. So some of these points came up, and again, physically, if I'm meeting you, I'd like to know from you, do you think that's really true? Are these the characteristics of women who are working in the public space by way of the corporate sector? So the point is, what emerges is that since, as I said, it's not possible for that sort of interaction. So, but this is not true, that women are supposed to be emotional, women are soft, women are caring. They might have those attitudes, but then it is not that men cannot be caring. So men cannot be entering the private space by way of kitchen. So this kind of scenario actually leads to sessions like this, where we would like to understand, then what is this sex all about? What is this gender all about? We know that certain work is women's entitlement, by way of kitchen, by way of washing dishes, by way of looking at children, caring for their children, packing their lunch, sending them to schools. And for the men, it is actually getting up in the morning, going through the newspaper, getting ready for the work, for their office work, and so on. So there is a sheer confinement. There is a sheer demarcation of work. That is what we have generally been seeing, and that is what we grow up seeing. So that is the whole idea, that it leads us to two words, sex and gender. So you understand, I'm sure you would all know, sex is something that cannot be changed. That is a part of genitals. So when it comes to the woman, she is the one who bears a child, who delivers the child, who feeds the child. That cannot be changed. And something like gender is something that can be changed. That is as part of social construct. That is something that has been constructed by the society, by you and me. So gender, if we have to understand it, basically means that it's constructed, it's a term constructed by the society, and it can be changed. It can be changed, unlike sex, which cannot be changed, which is, you know, as I just said, is a part of entire, genitalia, where certain things have been God given. So the term gender, just for your information, was introduced in 1960s. It was introduced as early as 1960s. And why did we really need this term? The term was introduced in 1960s, basically to reject this biological determinism, this whole idea that biology gets really linked with the rigid sex roles and responsibilities. So saying that, which I've just narrated, that for a woman it is these areas of work and for men it is these areas of work. So gender came up as a term in 1960s to reject this biological determinism. Right? So gender as a term, gender I think I can be bilingual for everybody to be understood. So ये जो gender नाम का शब्द है, तो ये जो हम लिंग भेद की बात करते हैं, men binaries जो हम create किए हुए हैं कि men के लिए ये है, women के लिए ये है, gender totally rejects it. Gender का ये मानना है कि आदमी औरत, मेन वीमेन में कोई फंडामेंटल डिफरेंस है ही नहीं, और जो डिफरेंस की हम बात कर रहे हैं उसको हम सेक्स कहते हैं, जो चेंज नहीं किया जा सकता अपार्ट फ्रॉम द टेक्नोलॉजिकल एडवांसमेंट which is leading to different kind of changes which I'm not talking about. But in simple words, gender rejects this basic idea that men and women are fundamentally different from each other. ठीक है, by way of their abilities, by way of their interests, by way of their temperament. जेंडर ये मानने को तैयार ही नहीं है कि इस तरह का डिफरेंस है, that girls are supposed to be docile, girls are supposed to be, you know, XYZ and so on. So had it been again a face-to-face interaction, I would have asked you that when I say a woman or a girl, what are the kind of adjectives that come to your or words that come to your mind? And when I say a man and a boy, what is it that comes to your mind? So I've done that exercise earlier. तो उसमें ये निकल के आया, जब हम आदमी की बात करते हैं या जब हम लड़कों की बात करते हैं, तो उसमें ये निकल के आया कि they are supposed to be macho, they have to be strong, they have to be caring by way of financial, bearing the financial burden, and women are supposed to be confined to, you know, they are soft, they have to look beautiful, they have to be slim, etc., etc., etc. So this kind of demarcation is not what gender would accept. All right. So मैं यहाँ थोड़ा सा आपको, maybe I'll like to go ahead and sharing this. Is this visible?
Ma'am, you have to turn the screen share on.
So is this visible?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible now.
Great. Excellent. So, you know, yeah, so my dear students, so whatever I've just said, I like to show this to you. So this is a small children's the story book which I got from the International Book Fair. तो इसमें देखिए, this girl is Aba, और ये अगर मैं आप लोगों से पूछूं कि आपका संडे का दिन कैसा निकलता है, I'm sure most of us, I'll include myself as a child, when I was a child, उसमें हम ये कहेंगे सुबह हम उठते हैं तो हम देखते हैं माँ नाश्ता बना रही है, my father, whatever I've just narrated. But this book gives me something else. My father wakes me up in the morning. Aisha, get up. It's waking time. And then she's happy to be getting up. And that is the way I think it has to be with everyone. We should be happy getting up. And then he is making chai for Ammi and me. And then Ammi is sipping the tea as she's reading the newspaper. ज़्यादातर लोगों ने हमने ये नहीं देखा होगा कि ऐसा कुछ हो रहा है. And then we all go to the market to buy vegetables. But in most of our cases, maybe it's just the mother who goes out to buy. And then Abba takes charge of the kitchen. And then all of them get together and dust. So the point here is, this is something that is maybe unconventional. ज़्यादातर घरों में ऐसा नहीं होता. But ये देखिए, this is part of socialization. So what I just said, gender is nothing but a social construct. Gender वो है जिसमें हम ये जो भी बात बोली कि men and women are different with their abilities, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Gender में आप ये देखिए, abilities खाना बनाने की ability father में भी है, अकेले mother में नहीं है. So gender rejects this fundamental idea that men and women are different. So this is what is gender. This is constructed by the society, and saying that only specific things are for men and specific for women, it is out. अब इसमें जब मैं बोल रही हूँ, मैं ये भी आपको एक सिचुएशन रखना चाहूंगी. जब आप अपने स्कूल में थे, तो आप जब अपना कोई फॉर्म भरते हैं तो उसमें एक नॉमिनी की जरूरत होती है, तो कहते हैं कि इसको साइन करवा के लाइए. तो आप देखिए, ज्यादातर या तो फॉर्म्स में लिखा होता है फादर सिग्नेचर्स. अगर नहीं लिखा होता तो हम में से ज्यादा लोग फादर के ही सिग्नेचर्स करवा के लाते हैं, नॉट द मदर, बिकॉज वी थिंक that it is the father whose signatures are needed. We never think, even if our mothers are working, that probably they can be our nominees. तो ये चीज भी आपको ध्यान रखनी है, that you know, when it comes to gender, it rejects this difference between the men and women, and it takes that men and women are almost, they are the same in their attitudes, temperament and interest. So taking this forward, I like to say that gender की मैं बात जब कर रही हूँ, तो मैं इसमें एक और भी चीज कहना चाहूंगी आपको. एक सेकेंड. चलिए इसी को लेके बढ़ते हैं आगे. अच्छा चलिए एक वीडियो मैं दिखाती हूँ जिसमें आप लोगों ने देखते सी इफ आई कैन प्ले दिस. तो ये देखिए माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स, आई एम श्योर यू नो ऑफ कोर्स दिस इज अ क्लिप फ्रॉम बॉलीवुड एंड दिस इज समथिंग वी ग्रो अप seeing this things, ideas like this, concepts like this becomes a part of our socialization, and this is something that we really need to challenge. अब वो देखिए उनका गांव में वो क्या मानना है कि अरे इतनी खुश होके दाई अगर घर के बाहर से निकल रही है, दरवाजा खोल रही है, तो उनको लगता है कि लड़का पैदा हुआ है. वो लड़का पैदा क्यों हुआ है? So this is again a thing that we really need to understand, you know, and that I'll take up. So quickly I'll say sex is biological construct, gender is social construct. Sex is something that we are born with. Gender is something that we have learned. Sex is constant. Gender changes over time, universal and cultural. So when we say gender, which is something I've said, you know, it is gender एक ही दिन में construct नहीं होता. Gender is built over centuries. It is reinforced by our social cultural practices, and it rejects this idea that men and women are different. So I have some examples. You know, if I say best women are stay-home moms, is this sex or gender? So you can think about it, since there's no possibility of my getting this response. The voices of boys break during puberty. Girls are sacrificing while boys protect. एक लड़का जब एक लड़की को बाहर लेके जाता है तो उसकी ड्यूटी है to pay the bill. A girl must obey. Men are intelligent. So which of them is sex and which of them is gender? We need to really know. एक story मैं आपको देती हूँ. एक father and the son, they meet with an accident. The father is safe, but the son gets hurt. He is rushed to the hospital. The neurosurgeon is called. He sees the boys and he says, I can't operate. The boy is my son. So who is the neurosurgeon? I'd really like to know from you, who's the neurosurgeon? तो इसमें देखिए ज्यादातर हम में से लोग न्यूरोसर्जन का कहेंगे that it is it's my chacha, it's the boy's chacha, it is the taya, and so on. Very few will come to the conclusion that it could be the mother of the boy. Basically because the term neurosurgeon gets linked with the male sex, but that is what we come to say gender stereotypes. So what is a gender stereotype? Gender stereotypes are the image of men and women created by society, and these stereotypes, जो ये stereotypes है, neurosurgeon gets linked up with the male. The ruler, R-U-L-E-R, the ruler gets linked up with the king and not the queen. So these kind of stereotypes, they are ये स्कूल्स में, आपके क्लासमेट्स में, आपके मीडिया के थ्रू, आपके पीयर ग्रुप के थ्रू ये रीइंफोर्स होते हैं. और ये ऐसा नहीं है कि इसी साल में या कोविड में ऐसी टर्म्स की शुरुआत हुई है. ये कई जनरेशन से चली आ रही है. दे आर पास्ड फ्रॉम वन जनरेशन टू अनदर एंड दे आर लर्न्ड एट एन अर्ली एज. सो अभी जब बात हुई है अवेयरनेस जनरेशन की, तो हमारा मेन मकसद है ऐसे सेशंस के थ्रू ये अवेयरनेस क्रिएट करना कि अगर हम इस तरह की बात कर रहे हैं that the king was, the ruler was so and so, and we tend to think that it is only the male sex, so we really need to start challenging these kind of thoughts. हम शायद इस बारे में सोचते भी नहीं है क्योंकि हमारा इस तरह का ओरिएंटेशन ही नहीं, बट ये चीजें जानना समझना बहुत जरूरी है कि there is something like gender stereotypes. अब जैसे अगर मैं जेंडर स्टीरियोटाइप की बात करूं और जेंडर की हम बात करते हैं, तो आप ये देखिए जब मैं बोल रही हूँ उसमें कि दिस गेट्स रीइंफोर्स्ड बाय स्कूल्स, तो हाँ मेरे को ये पता है कि अभी कुछ टाइम पहले की बात है, एक मेरी पीएचडी स्टूडेंट ने एक स्टडी की स्कूल्स में, तो मैं जब एक सेशन वहां अटेंड कर रही थी, टीचर क्लास ले रही थी, तो मैं वहीं थी. तो टीचर के एग्जाम्पल ये जा रहे थे कि राम ने 5 संतरे खरीदे, राम ने 5 संतरे खरीदे, उसमें से 2 खा लिए, तो बताओ राम के पास कितने संतरे बचे. और दूसरी तरफ एग्जाम्पल था सीता ने 5 रोटी बेली, सीता ने चार बोला उसने, सीता ने 4 रोटी बेली, 2 उसने भाई को दी, 2 उसने पिताजी को दी, तो बताओ सीता के लिए कितनी रोटी बची। ये एग्जाम्पल्स आप देखिए, these I feel are highly distorted examples which only strengthen gender stereotypes. अब संतरे खरीदने के लिए जो टीचर ने एग्जाम्पल दिया वो राम का दिया, और रोटी बेलने के लिए सीता का दिया। तो पॉइंट ये है कि हम इनको एक फिक्स्ड आइडेंटिटीज की तरह मानने लगे हैं कि अगर रोटी बेलने की बात आती है तो हम उसको समझते हैं कि माँ की या बहन की काम है, और अगर हम बाजार का काम समझते हैं तो वी थिंक इट्स द वर्क ऑफ द मेल सेक्स। सो ये चीजें चैलेंज करना और समझना बहुत जरूरी है। तो मैं चाहूंगी जस्ट लुक बैक एंड सी कि आपके स्कूलिंग के टाइम आपने इस तरह की किस टीचर्स ने इस तरह के एग्जाम्पल दिए। Did your principal also reinforce such stereotypical ideas? अब जैसे अगर कोई कुर्सी उठाना है तो the teacher or maybe anybody who is a part of any institution would say, all right, the boy can go and pick up the chair. But अगर कोई कुछ जैसे mopping का काम है, कुछ गिर गया है या कुछ सर्व करना है, maybe then the girl is asked to do that. So these are all stereotypical ideas which really need to be challenged, and that is known as gender stereotypes. अब देखिए, अगर हम इसी की बात करें तो स्टीरियोटाइप्स में आप ये भी देखिए कि अगर आपने देखा होगा कि जब एक लड़की पैदा होती है तो उसको आप पिंक कलर देते हैं, बट व्हेन द बॉय इज बोर्न यू गो ऑन विद द ब्लूज एंड यू गो ऑन विद सॉफ्ट कलर्स लाइक पिंक्स एटसेट्रा एंड मोर फ्रीली क्लोथ्स व्हेन इट कम्स टू द गर्ल्स, बट व्हेन यू अटेंड टू बाय अ गन व्हेन इट कम्स टू द बॉय। और कई बार हम लड़कियों को डांटते हैं, आपकी माँ ने जरूर डांटा होगा आपकी बहन को कहते हुए कि लड़कों की तरह मत चलो, लड़कों की तरह मत बात करो। So these are all stereotypical ideas that are being passed on by the families to the young generation. और लड़कों को भी कहा होगा, अरे लड़कियों की तरह क्यों बात कर रहा है, लड़कियों की तरह क्यों चल रहा है, अरे ऐसा क्यों नहीं वो कर सकता। ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं है कि that boys have to be macho, boys have to be showing their hysterical attitudes, or I mean जहां hysteria आएगा वहां boys को डालेंगे, जहां थोड़ा सा emotional आएगा वहां girls को डालेंगे। So my point is that these are all stereotypical ideas that are being passed on from one generation to another, and we really need to be careful about them. तो इनका जैसे मैंने अभी बताया, कलर, टॉयज, जॉब्स में भी जैसे न्यूरोसर्जन की बात की है, रूलर की बात की है। सो लैंग्वेज गेट्स टू बी ऑल्सो वेरी जेंडर स्टीरियोटाइप। गुड एंड बैड वीमेन की अगर आप बात देखें, आप देखिए घर में ही देखिए, somebody a lady who is quiet and who is more accepting is seen to be a good woman, but a bad woman is somebody who maybe raises a voice, or who intelligent woman who starts questioning the system, she's seen as a bad woman. So all these things really need to be challenged. अभी मैट्रिमोनियल मैं आपको दिखाती हूँ, this is a recent matrimonial this century only, 2016 का। आप इसमें देखिए, और ये एक एग्जांपल है, ये आपको इस तरह के मैट्रिमोनियल सभी में मिलेंगे, where you say that you need a beautiful, well educated girl, high status for a very elegant and tall girl boy. I mean, these are all very stereotypical ideas being manifested through the matrimonial advertisements. अब ये देखिए, so simultaneously I'm also going reflecting on the women's issues. So somewhere women are seen as subordinate to men, all right, and they're also victims of domestic violence, and the moment they try to raise their voice, they further become victims of wife betrayal. So the same thing that मेरे सामने, dare you raise your voice against me, and this is going to be the result. So this further creates a trauma among women and young girls, and this is something that really needs to be challenged. Probably the way that man has been brought up, he has seen probably his father his father in this role, and the mother being again a victim of domestic violence. He must have seen nobody challenging the father on his actions. And that is something that really needs to be understood and that needs to be challenged by this present generation, which comprises of you. So there is another story, that is a couple does not have a child, and after a lot of prayers, the Lord appears before them and says that you'll be blessed with a child, but only one child. So I want to know from you that what sex of the child is the couple going to choose? उसको भगवान ने कहा कि आपने एक ही बच्चा आपका हो सकता है, आप मुझे बताएं कि कौन सा आपको लड़का चाहिए या लड़की चाहिए. And I'm sure, maybe to be politically correct, most of us might say that नहीं हम तो लड़की, the couple should choose a girl, but most of the time it happens to be the boy that is the selected sex by the couple. Why? Because of this whole idea that लड़की पैदा होगी तो dowry. Again, a practice that needs to be challenged. लड़की पैदा होगी तो उसकी शादी होगी, तो पराया धन is again a term that has been going on for centuries and still continues to be used, that the girl is not from this house but she has to be married and sent to the other house. And then then there is all this, the whole ritual of lighting the fire when the father goes away. Father is no more, so that has to be done by the son. So the son carries the name of the family forward, which the girl is not supposed to be doing. Aajkal dekhiye, there's a slight change, but the point is that what sex will the couple select and why? So again, it will show that most of us tend to say that all right, in case we have to select, if we can only have one child, then we like to have a boy because of these reasons. So this is nothing but gender discrimination. So what is gender discrimination? Gender discrimination basically is the unequal status between men and women, boys and girls. That is what we mean by. And how does gender discrimination exist in our society? आप मुझे बताएं कि अगर हम जेंडर डिस्क्रिमिनेशन की बात कर रहे हैं और उसको मैं कह रही हूँ कि अनइक्वल स्टेटस है बिटवीन मेन एंड वीमेन बॉयज, हाउ डू यू थिंक इट एग्जिस्ट? वो एग्जिस्ट करता है भी नहीं करता, ये भी आपके लिए जानना बहुत जरूरी है. सम ऑफ अस माइट से कि नहीं मेरे घर में तो ऐसा कोई डिस्क्रिमिनेशन है ही नहीं, तो आई डोंट थिंक जेंडर डिस्क्रिमिनेशन एग्जिस्ट. बट माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स, माय डियर फ्रेंड्स, वी आर नॉट ओनली टॉकिंग अबाउट यू एज द प्रिविलेज्ड पर्सन, but we are talking about the society around you. We are talking about not just India, we are talking about Bharat. We're talking about the interiors of the country. We are talking about states which are away from Delhi. We are talking about the middle class families. So the whole thing is that this gender discrimination is embedded in our social system. This unequal status is embedded. And how does it show itself? I would have really loved to get your response on this. But since, again, I said that is not there's no scope for that. So आप देखिए, आपका जो unequal ratio है, we have 944 women per 1,000 men. That is the present data also. So that is gender discrimination. That is, we prefer to have boys than girls. Then the sex ratio of girls and boys. Then domestic violence. 70% of all women are victims of domestic violence. Then the crime rate that is happening every minute. Then even the enrollment rate of boys and girls, Then also, when you talk about, informal sector, you'll see that majority of the women are in the majority of the women in the working class are in the informal sector, and they are, victims of unequal pay in the informal sector. Then also, when it comes to, maternal mortality rate, women are supposed to be delivering child at home. There is no institutionalized delivery when you go to, remote areas. Then there is high rate of malnutrition. Then also very important, how much of access and control over resources do women have? Data shows that around 38% only of women have control over their resources, have property in their name by way of land, by way of, basically it was with regard to land and their house. But you see, as high as 62% of the women do not even have access and control over property. Then eating habits, women are supposed to be the last ones to eat. Even in our families, we say, पहले बड़ों को खिलाओ, फिर let the male members eat food, and let the women are the ones who eat food. Well, this practice, of course, is being changed gradually, but still it has not gone away. So it's very important that, as young boys and girls who are part of the family, because family is an important institution in this country. So we have strong families. So as components, important components of that family. It's very important that you as young boys and girls need to be sensitive to such practices around you. बहुत जरूरी है कि आप इन चीजों का ध्यान दें और उसको चैलेंज करें. एकदम देख के चुप रहना नहीं ठीक है, बट आप चैलेंज तभी कर सकते हैं अगर आपको इस चीज के बारे में जागरूकता है, अवेयरनेस है. जैसे कि अभी कहा गया था कि अवेयरनेस करना बहुत जरूरी है. और इस सेशन का मकसद ये है कि इन चीजों के बारे में हमें अवेयरनेस हो, क्योंकि हम इन चीजों को समझते हैं दैट दीज आर फिक्स्ड आइडेंटिटीज. ये हम चैलेंज नहीं कर सकते, बिल्कुल गलत. ये सब चीजें चैलेंज होती हैं क्योंकि ये जेंडर है, दे आर नॉट सेक्स, दे आर नॉट फिक्स्ड आइडेंटिटीज, बट दे आर टेकन एज फिक्स्ड आइडेंटिटीज. सो थोड़ा सा आगे बढ़ते हुए, वैसे तो कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट रिपोर्ट्स भी हैं, बट मे बी दैट आई वुड लाइक टू we share in the maybe sometime later. So I like to also share with you that अगर देखिए मेरा जो सब्जेक्ट है सोशल वर्क, सो मैंने इकोनॉमिक्स ऑनर्स किया था श्री राम कॉलेज ऑफ कॉमर्स से, और उसके बाद मैंने अपना मास्टर्स एंड एमफिल एंड पीएचडी डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ सोशल वर्क से किया, एंड आई टुक अप जेंडर एज एन एरिया. सो सोशल वर्क मैंने इसलिए स्विच ओवर किया इकोनॉमिक्स ऑनर्स से, बिकॉज आई वाज मोर इंटरेस्टेड इन to know what exactly is the field reality, because economics honors gave me only theory. It taught me about demographic transition. It taught me about what Rostow has said, what Kotsianis has said, and Ellen as a part of econometrics. It taught me all that. But somewhere I felt I was totally cut off from the grassroots reality. And I was quite aware, being in the university circle, because my father was a professor in the university, so I was quite aware with the institutions that were in the university, and I came to know about masters in social work at an early age, and I knew that fieldwork was a very important component. So my point of saying this is that my field research and also review of literature has shown that it has shown that jin gharon mein where men they participate actively in the household affair, it is seen that there is less conflict in that family. Jahan, if your mother is working, she has already entered the public space, and your father also enters the private space by way of, helping your mother and others in the kitchen and other household affairs, you'll see there's less conflict in the family. And literature also shows that, children who grow up in such an environment are more emotionally and physically strong. They are more balanced, they are more emotionally strong, because they are not the victims of conflict which might otherwise happen. And it is also seen that when the fathers are more nurturing and they are available to their children, they are available for household discussions, there it is seen that boys are likely to use less violence against family partners in adulthood. जो boys हैं वो बड़े होके they do not indulge, or they indulge in less violence of their partners. And it's also seen that where fathers are nurturing, the girls also are of such fathers have more flexible relationship with their partners when they grow up. And yes, so when I say, having said this, I'll also like you to, as a part of course, this is a management program that you are in, but then it does not mean that you don't do a transact walk around that area. Please, so I suggest that you do a transact walk around the area, around your area, to find out, the organizations. There are many non-government organizations which you call as NGOs. It's very important that you move around and find out which are the organizations which are working in the area of women's issues. Women's issues get to be, violence against women is an issue, malnutrition is an issue, high maternal mortality rate is an issue. Then women's safety, which is one of the very important components that's being addressed, women's safety in Delhi, that gets to be an issue. Rape, stalking, they are such issues which need to be addressed. So they have to start at home. Addressal has to start at home. We have to be sensitive to our affairs within the family. And then only, things are going to change. So my point is that please go around, look at the NGOs, volunteer yourself with such NGOs, offer your services, and you'll see that your life also will be much enlightened. Yeah, so maybe, and your own response towards, as managers, future managers, will be much brighter. So having said this, I'd like to just also play this one for you. So while I also, so the idea is awareness generation, and as I said, awareness generation is along with awareness generation, the families have to see that they train their youngsters, their young boys, girls, their grandchildren in a way that they are more receptive of the gender relations, and that these binaries of men and women do not exist. So I'll play a video for you which says the same thing.
सॉरी कि जब तुम घर में खेलती थी
All right. So I think this is a strong message. And another thing that comes up in a major way is, why is laundry only a mother's job? No. Laundry, kitchen, washing machines, they are not mother's job, but they are not binaries, but it's a household work. And I think media plays a very important role in creating those binaries, just as media plays a very important role in not creating binaries. तो ये वाला एडवर्टाइजमेंट आप देखिए, अगर ये 1960 में इस तरह का बना होता या उससे पहले ऐसा एडवर्टाइजमेंट बना होता, तो probably things would have been much better today. There would not have been gender stereotypes, there would not have been gender discrimination. अगर होती तब भी इतनी ज्यादा नहीं होती. So media really needs to be propagators, but in a positive way. All right. So another thing I like to say when I'm talking about solutions, one is the media, another is एक प्रोग्राम हुआ करता था परिवर्तन, जिसका दिल्ली पुलिस का. So दिल्ली पुलिस का काम अकेला, and दिल्ली पुलिस is a unique example. सागरप्रीत हुडा थे DPS, उन्होंने शुरू किया था. This was a community model which was eliminating violence against women through community participation. तो उन्होंने I was a part of that. तो उन्होंने ये create किया that the women beat constables, they used to go around. देखिए आप देखिए इनमें ये figures आप देखेंगे जहाँ police, women police है. So they are known as women beat constables. They used to go to the houses in the communities and they used to ask if the women were fine or they were victims of violence. So most of the time women said they were fine because they were themselves so scared of the men. Now, they were themselves scared of the police, and they were also scared that कहीं हमारा आदमी को पुलिस उठा के ना ले जाए. But the point is that gradually they started opening up as a part of even the meetings. This the picture on the left side of the this one, the left side where you see some थोड़े लोग बैठे हैं, थोड़े खड़े हुए हैं. So these were the meetings with the community women, and slowly they started opening up. So this is another way, that even the caretaker bodies like police can play a very positive role in generating awareness and addressing issues of concern. Then there is a NGO which I don't know if you are aware of this. This is an acronym प्रदान, and इसका ऑफिस आपको सरिता विहार दिल्ली में मिलेगा. तो इन्होंने क्या किया है, देखिए livelihood. This livelihood is another problem faced by women. उनके पास नौकरियां नहीं है, उनके पास काम नहीं है. Most of them are working in the unorganized sector. So केसला है मध्य प्रदेश में, तो इन्होंने वहां एक सरकार का एक प्रोग्राम था स्वर्ण जयंती ग्राम स्वरोजगार योजना. So that was for Grameen families. So what they did was they trained women in Kesla, they trained women on poultry, they trained women in mushrooming, and they trained women in also sericulture. So women were trained and they were given the products that they were into, they were also taken care of by Pradhan by way of selling those products. So market outlets भी Pradhan ने दिए. तो इनका काम था सिर्फ ट्रेनिंग लेना एंड ऑल्सो टू सॉर्ट ऑफ सो एज अ रिजल्ट व्हेन द मार्केट वाज देयर सो द वुमेन स्टार्टेड गेटिंग मनी एंड दैट वाज एंड दे आल्सो वर ट्रेन्ड हाउ टू एक्सेस द बैंक. और बैंक को भी ये ट्रेनिंग दी गई दैट नॉट टू हैव टू मच ऑफ पेपर वर्क. नहीं तो देखिए बैंक में जाते आधा टाइम हमें इतना डर लगता है कि पता नहीं कितने तो प्रोसेसेस होंगे. सो दे वर ट्रेन्ड टू make things very simple for women, and this resulted in financial independence, a feeling of economic independence for the women. आप में से किन्हीं को मौका मिले, please do get associated with Pradhan and do visit their it's almost in every state that they have their programs running on livelihood. So आप ये देखिए for the students, I wanted to say that this kind of economic independence, it empowered the families, it empowered the women of course, but it empowered the families, and these are some of the ways in which it empowered, because family as a concept came up. And women, when they started getting money, they also got out of the clutches, the household got out of the clutches of the money lender. There were less school dropout rate. I mean, I can go on a separate session on each one of the points that I've written here. So the point is that also, men who are migrating to other places outside the village, so they also stopped going out, because now they join their wives in the small enterprise that they had started. So there was a lot of check now also on the alcohol consumption, and for girls especially, they started. It was not just the enrollment that increased, but also their attendance in the schools increased, and most important, family as a concept came up. So this is basically that men no longer had to run outside, travel outside to earn livelihood. They were assisting their families. So that is what then another NGO I'd like to talk to you about is Gunj. Sarita Vihar, you have the office in Sarita Vihar, and basically Gunj has cloth as a parallel currency to money. So families who it's a whole concept again, a lot of it. Basically ये क्या करते हैं, they are into infrastructure creation. तो जो families, आपने नरेगा का नाम सुना होगा, महात्मा गांधी नेशनल रूरल एम्प्लॉयमेंट गारंटी एक्ट. ये प्रोग्राम जो है, इसमें जब आप किसी चीज में आप कोई काम करते हैं तो उसमें आपको पैसा मिलता है. इसमें क्या है कि अगर आप काम करते हैं तो ये इतने सारे आप देख रहे हैं ना, ये sacks. So these are cloths which are given to families who want to participate in community building. So yeah. So this is again, this is again Kesla, where women celebrate every year. They get together and they have this big fair, which is by women and titled with, basically the whole concept is empower them, give them a voice. Also, I'd like to say something here that, when we talk about empowerment, in Cambodia, I interacted with this lady, who was from Cambodia, another one from Vietnam. So, they have this whole idea कि community में देखिए अगर wife beating हो रही है या rape हो रहा है या किसी भी तरह का, so these women, especially for the victims of violence, so these community helpers, they give every woman in every household a whistle, so that they can blow the whistle, and they also tell them how to blow the whistle in a particular pattern, so that these community helpers who are there, they get to know that all right, something is not right in this house, and they go and help them. Similarly, these community helpers, how do we recognize them? How does the community get to know कि ये helpers हैं? So they are given these T-shirts by the NGOs or by the government, which they wear, and as a result, they are easily recognized. So the point, to conclude, the point I'm trying to make through this session is that we need to be very clear about that there are certain things that cannot be changed, as I said, genitalia, but there are certain things, and most of the things can be changed, and we need to recognize them. And then, as young students, when you're coming to your institute, or when you're even the place where you're staying, it's very important to be informed about the resources that are around you. The police beat, the police station, the headquarters, apart from them, the schools, the primary school, the hospital. It's very important that you know about the resources that are around you, so that you can also the information about such resources will help you to network better with the community. किसी को किस तरह की हेल्प है तो आपको एकदम पता चलेगा कि उसको कहाँ रेफर करना है. And also you can render your services to for the NGOs, organizations which are there around your area. Then at the same time, it's very important that you respect yourself. हम आधा टाइम तो हमें लगता है कि नहीं दूसरा आदमी हमसे ज्यादा अच्छा है. Please respect yourself and be communicative. If you do not like something, or even if you like something, it's very important that you be communicative and express yourself both at home and outside home. Be less critical about yourself, especially for the girls. You don't have to be critical because the family would always make you feel, the school would make you feel that things are not right with you. Please be less critical about yourself. Don't be critical about yourself. And you also need to realize that there is something like patriarchy which needs to be challenged. And patriarchy does not only mean men; it means women, men, anybody who feels that women are subordinate. Women have to be behaving in a certain manner. It could be, as I said, not men only, but it could be women also who propagate such ideas, which needs to be challenged. But you can only challenge them once you realize that this is basically not a good action. Then there's something like certain names like Malika Sarabhai, like Bhamri Devi, which you need to know, because these are the women who actually fought for a cause, especially Bhamri Devi. She was a state employee, Sathin. She fought for a cause. She was raped. But then you also now need to know the state version, because the state had a particular idea which needs to be also challenged. So the whole idea is that gender is a part of life. Gender means you and me. Both of we as a part of the society construct gender, which needs to be understood, which needs to be constructed in a positive way, and gender should not be fixed identities. Gender needs to be seen as a gender where roles, responsibilities are not confined to men and certain to women, but they are diluted so that they do not become binaries. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Professor Pamela Singla, for this very knowledge-enriching session. On behalf of GIPS, I expect my heartfelt thanks to Professor Dr. Pamela Singla for taking out their precious time and enriching us with valuable thoughts and ideas on gender sensitization and women issues. I would also like to thank the organizing team, students, teachers, and staff members for making this eminent lecture series a success. Thank you, everyone.
So are we going to have some questions in case there are any?
Yes. Anyone has got a question? Actually, madam, everyone was just enjoying what you were saying, no? The videos, the clips and everything. It was very, very enriching.
I see. So, but in case there are questions or anything they'd like to say, because ये देखिए ये वाला जो format है ना, इसमें बस अपनी ही आवाज सुनाई दे रही थी. So इसलिए कोई response का पता नहीं चलता. So I'll be very happy to take some, some responses from those who are here. Because मैंने इसलिए 2-3 मिनट पहले खत्म किया ताकि कुछ questions आ जाए, कुछ responses आ जाए.
Just ma'am, let me ask. Students who have got some questions, may I ask the questions, please?
Or even response, to whatever has been shown to them.
Yes, ma'am, there is a question. The question is, are men only responsible for victimization of women? Are women themselves sometimes not responsible for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I said, patriarchy is not only just men. Patriarchy is also women. It's an idea that gets perpetuated down, but somewhere the victims get to be the women. So the whole idea is that when we are addressing such thoughts, the entire family, as I said, there are the social institutions, देखिए state है, families है, schools है, which is not only men, which is the women also. ये जो मैंने examples दिए, 5 संतरे रोटी, ये female teacher ने ही example दिए थे. So patriarchy is associated with an idea, right? So that idea needs to be challenged, which subordinates women to the social system. So it's not at all men, but somewhere, the whole idea of patriarchy gets associated with the men because it is seen that boys are preferred over girls, men are preferred over women, even for certain positions. So which actually needs to be challenged? And that is the whole idea, to create awareness not only among women or not only among men, but both men and women, boys and girls.
Ma'am, there is one more question. How can we change the mentality of present old generation so that they can come out of this gender stereotype and biasness?
Start questioning them. You know, it's not easy because ये जैसे मैंने कहा socialization का ही part है ये सब. अब उनको तो देखिए शुरू से ये देखते आ रहे हैं, तो उनको चेंज करना शायद थोड़ा मुश्किल होगा. But start questioning them, start discussing things with them rather than hitting back verbally. Start discussing out things even with your parents, even with your grandparents, but in a amiable way. एक अच्छी तरह कहिए ताकि उनको भी लगे कि हाँ ये चीज ऐसी होनी तो नहीं चाहिए. जैसे मैं बताऊं, मैंने खुद देखा हुआ है that I've seen in my close circle that the girls, young girls, were much smaller than the boy. They were cousins, but it was the young girl who was told to pick up the plates and the utensils and put them in the kitchen after the dinner was over, and not the boy. When the boy was again young, he offered, then he was told, "नहीं ये तुम्हारा काम नहीं है." So somewhere, I think this needs to be questioned. This needs to be questioned by the elderly who are there, the young people who are here who understand that this is wrong. They should actually start questioning it, and not only just question, maybe their actions can show that it is not a binary.
Anyone else wants to ask some question? Yes, ma'am. There's one more question. How can education contribute towards women empowerment?
How can education contribute towards women empowerment?
Yes.
I think what we are doing now, as a part of education, I think, you would understand कि education अगर है तो आपको awareness generation होती है. I mean, this session like these, you are able to attend because you're a part of the education system. So you generate awareness. You become aware of the fact that there are systems which are inbuilt within our social system which need to be challenged. You build a voice, and you get that feeling of capacitated once you are educated. Education का मतलब देखिए कि education का मतलब है learning. अकेली किताबी learning नहीं, but the whole idea in this new education policy, I'm sure आप लोगों ने new education policy के बारे में सुना है, पढ़ा है. उसमें देखिए पूरा का पूरा है, एक पूरा उसका टेम्परामेंट ही चेंज कर दिया गया है. पहले ये था कि किताबें पढ़ ली, डिग्री ले ली तो आप एजुकेटेड हो गए, लेकिन आपका प्रैक्टिस में कुछ नहीं है. लेकिन अब न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में बहुत एम्फेसिस दिया गया है प्रैक्टिकलिटी के ऊपर. जो आप पढ़ रहे हैं उसका कितना फील्ड में रेलिवेंस जा रहा है. इट विल हेल्प यू इन इंटीग्रेटिंग थ्योरी एंड प्रैक्टिस. तो एजुकेशन का मतलब ये है कि जो आप पढ़ रहे हैं उसको आप अपनी दिनचर्या में भी लागू कीजिए. उसी से ही आपका एम्पावरमेंट आएगा. उसी से आपको पता चलेगा कि क्या गलत है, क्या सही है. I hope I've answered that question to some
Yes,
extent.
ma'am. Yeah, that's very perfect, ma'am. I think, ma'am, we don't have any other questions now.
All right.
Thanks a lot for the enriching session, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. It was nice. But I missed the face-to-face interaction, but it was still nice to be listening to my own voice, and of course, nice to hear you and the director in the beginning.
Thank you, ma'am, once again. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Thank you. So I'll exit.
Yes, ma'am, please.